Welcome to Inside the Studio. I'm here today with Annette Kraft van Ermel in her working studio in Waterloo, Ontario. So Annette, it's great to be here with you today.
Thanks, Joanne.
You're welcome. You and I have had a long journey together.
We have.
And it's been great. And whenever I enter your studio, I know that I'm going to be in for a treat and for a surprise, because your work truly is miles apart from a lot of artists in the community and elsewhere. So you are a longtime artist. You have been doing art for a very long time. So I guess the place we could start is that you have a unique sense of style, if we could say that. And you're not truly an encaustic artist. So how do you describe yourself, Annette, with your work?
So encaustic work, which has been around for a very long time, is the process of melting wax, tinting it, and then applying it while it's wet to a surface where it solidifies. I use wax in a slightly different way, and I've come up with my own application. I use it primarily for texture. I don't tint it. I paint over top of it. And I usually start with a drawing with charcoal. I'm now using soft pastels. And why I do that is when I put the hot wax on top, it dissolves the charcoal a little bit. So
Wonderful.
It gives it a bit of a bleed and a
Beautiful.
blur. And because wax is transparent, depending on the wax that you're using, you can sort of see the lines underneath. So there's a layering as well, which I think adds dimension and makes for a richer painting. Once the painting is further down the line, being closer to being finished, I then go back and I will wipe off or scratch into, so that I'm going back almost to the original panel. And if I can show you.
Yes, please do.
So this piece, both of these pieces, which are my interpretation of butterflies and bees, which I'm quite well known for. So you can, I don't know if you can see this or not, but underneath, through the wax, you can see the charcoal lines underneath. And so there's layers of wax, then I wipe off. You can sort of see the wax. I use it for texture, like I said. And I love the use of linseed oil over top of wax because it gives it a nice shine as well. And
Quite beautiful.
Thank you.
So it's oil, Annette, mixed with.
well, this I use a lot of different things, and this piece actually has spray paint on it as well. So I went through a phase where I was using a lot of spray paint. There's spray enamels that give an amazing glossy finish. So I wanted to sort of juxtapose the wax, the drawing, with some shiny enamel, which is
It's gorgeous.
so.
It's just,
And then like I'll use underneath. Sometimes I'll use like an acrylic, a paste, a modeling paste to give it some texture as well. But I studied oil painting
in
York University.
at York University.
Well, we studied painting, but I chose the path of oil. So I've been painting oil since university days. So
Wow.
yeah.
And how has your style changed from those university days?
Well, I would say back in school and post-university, for a long time, I painted very dark, moody paintings. So I was using a lot of emotional
Material.
I was going to say pain, but let's call it material. And so there was a lot of, dark and moodiness to it. And I don't even remember when it switched to lighter colors. But it's funny because this piece, which I was working on last week, almost is revisiting that dark moodiness. I think there's a bit of a romantic feel to dark pieces.
Definitely.
Especially,
Definitely.
I don't know if it goes back to romanticism.
Perhaps.
Or if it's because winter's coming. I don't know what it is.
But to me, this speaks to me as you are emerging from the darkness, and that, like, that's what it says to me. It's a bursting forth.
Which is an ongoing theme in my work.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't use a lot of the dark colors.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
But it adds so much drama to the piece. You suffered an accident in 2002, which was fairly life-changing for you.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about that and how you managed to go forward?
I lost the use of my right arm completely for almost 2 years, and I was right-handed, so I had to learn how to become left-handed, and I was determined to keep painting, so I started to teach myself how to paint with my left hand. And interestingly enough, it looked very primal and almost childlike. And so that was a long time ago, and I have the use of my arm again, not completely. So I do some things with my right hand, some things with my left hand, but I can paint with both.
Awesome.
Not at the same time. But I'll
Now that would be interesting.
That would. I actually will take breaks, but I would say I almost paint. I've learned to paint with my left hand the same way that I used to paint with my right hand, and I almost wish that I could have held on to that childlike quality that I had right at the beginning, because you know how everybody loves children's drawings. They're not inhibited and they're raw and they're expressive.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've adapted so well that I've lost that part of learning how to paint with my left hand.
But there is an element of joy, Annette, in your work, big time.
There is now.
Yeah.
There is now, but I'm also older, and I think your subject matter changes. I think I'm going through now. It's a lot. It's not necessarily, the painting isn't about something. It's about itself, if that makes sense. The painting is about painting. So I'm learning and I'm always falling in love with painting every single time I paint.
Awesome.
And I paint every single day, unless I can't.
Fabulous.
And I'm learning something every day about it, and I'm trying something new almost every single day. And there was a period of time where I was kind of doing the same thing over and over, and you get really good at that. And a lot of artists do paint a similar way their whole career. I can't do that. I get really bored by doing that, and I want to grow and learn. And so I often just keep painting now until the painting directs me, guides me in a direction. And so I wait for something to happen. Oh, that's really interesting. I want to explore that a little bit more. And again, maybe it's my age, maybe it's because of COVID, but I feel like all the things that I've always wanted to try with paint, I'm really starting to explore now. Because why not? Why not? So there's so many things you can do with paint, like so many things. Why wouldn't I want to try every single one, you know?
I think you just answered my next question, Annette, because that was going to be what do you like best about being an artist?
Oh, well, it's all my own time, and I can do whatever I want,
You can.
with my work. And I guess too, with social media and seeing all these very, very talented people on Instagram and Facebook, and I'm not saying, oh my God, I want to do what they're doing, but I want to try what they're doing just to see what it feels like, and to move paint around a little bit differently just to see how it feels in my hand, and maybe load the brush up with less paint and more linseed oil, or a little bit more turpentine, or maybe I should paint on the ground today because I always paint on the wall. So wow, painting on the ground, totally different experience, because I can walk around it, and I can let things sit and dry on the ground so that they don't move, gravity, drip. I don't always, drips are cool, but sometimes it's cool to let things puddle and bleed and merge in a different way. I don't know. I just think the more that you play and explore, the more you grow, the more you learn. And there's so many more possibilities. There's so many possibilities.
You're an inspiration in that. You're an inspiration to a lot of artists when you have that attitude.
Thank you.
You are known, and perhaps you don't want to be known in this way, but you paint beautiful florals, and you've painted bees for a long time. And that's important to you, obviously. Where does that sort of inspiration come from within the natural world? Why are you drawn to that so strongly?
I grew up in the country, so it probably started when I was a child. Have always been a nature lover. Always, always, always. I've always loved plants. I've always loved animals, all of them, insects included. I like to save everything. I don't want anything to die. So I save insects and beetles and bugs that are upside down. I try and feed things that look like they're starving. I don't know. It's this thing with me.
Any inspiration from family over that stuff?
Well, we had a landscaping business growing up.
There you go.
So my dad is big into, he's still landscaping, and he's in his mid-80s. So plants and trees, and I definitely love gardening. So, I'm in the garden as much as I can. I love picking flowers. Nature is incredibly creative and sophisticated, and I'm amazed at its beauty every time I'm in it. Part of the reason I have a dog is because I'm out walking in nature 3 times a day. And I'm always going to beautiful places where, again, I'm inspired. And I mean, that's where color is, and light. And
definitely.
I mean, I get a lot of inspiration for interesting color combinations.
You paint on board. Do you paint on board all the time?
Usually, canvas occasionally. Usually, if a client requests it. A lot of people are, in particular, they want a canvas over a board. I prefer board now. You can be a little tougher with it, more aggressive with it, and because I like to go back and scratch into my wax, scratch the surface, I also like to go back and sometimes take some of the wax off to get to the original. It's this weird, it's this picking thing. It's like, I don't want to say picking a scab, but it's like I do a bunch of layers, and it's not just wiping off. I'll just start chiseling off. I don't know. So it's fairly physical.
Which is what you love.
Which is what I love.
Right.
Yeah.
You have good gallery representation in Southern Ontario, I would say, and you've had some success with your art in magazines. Your work has been on some movie sets. Can you just kind of share some of those highlights?
I've been in several decor magazines. A lot of my bees have made it to magazines. Some decorating shows. Marilyn Dennis show recently had some of my bees on.
Awesome.
And
sets?
couple of TV shows. Oh, and movie sets, yeah. Videos, music videos a long time ago. So yeah, that's always really exciting. I don't think that ever gets old, you know, seeing your stuff on TV. So, and it's exciting, and you know, when I see a piece in a magazine or on a TV show, I feel like I don't want to say I feel like I've made it, but I feel really proud of myself.
Of course, and so you should.
You know, I mean, it's still a struggle. It probably always will be.
Probably always will.
But to some degree, I feel like
The profession that you've chosen. This is a book that probably was produced a while ago, Annette, but it certainly showcases your bees quite nicely, if I recall this correctly.
I think there's one towards the back.
Right.
Yeah, that one.
You know, what the heck is it about bees that they're beautiful?
Do you know, Joanne? I still don't know that answer. Like why people are drawn to them? I don't know.
I am.
I don't know if it's because of the crisis that bees are in.
But you were doing bees before that.
Was I?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes,
I don't
you were. Yes, you were. Have you done other things other than bees?
Well, I did butterflies for a while.
You did butterflies.
I haven't done those in a while.
Dragonflies.
Yeah, I did some. I think now, like I was saying before, because I'm doing a lot of exploring, I'm not necessarily painting a thing. I'm just painting and seeing where that goes. So if some of the shapes take on a shape of a wing or something kind of moving or flying, I think that's a little bit of a signature thing with me.
Mm-hmm.
But and same with the floral. I think there's a definite shape that that's reoccurring. It's sort of like a bud, a wing,
For sure.
birth, like something, you know, emerging.
Emerging. Maybe you're still emerging.
Well, I think we're all in a transition all the time.
All the time.
But I feel it more than anything, and I think because I think more than anything because of the COVID situation, I literally was painting every single day, morning till night. By myself here alone for months. And I literally dove in and just 100%, that's all I was doing. And if something doesn't come from that, so I feel different as an artist right now.
Great. I'm assuming that's a positive thing.
It is a positive thing.
Right, absolutely.
So
Let's wind up with COVID a little bit because you know, there have been plenty of artists that I've talked to in the last 6 months or 7 months, and I would say that different artists are feeling the effects of COVID differently. So there are artists that have chosen to take this time to build up their inventory and to look at COVID as an opportunity to experiment and have change. And other artists haven't quite managed to feel that positive about things. It has been a transition time, and some artists have not felt positively about the effects of COVID. And it's tough. As an artist, you are isolated. You're painting on your own. It's pretty solitary experience. But you've chosen to take the time to turn it around and make it a positive situation. And by the looks of what you're painting these days, it looks pretty joyful to me in your self-expression. What advice would you give to perhaps artists that are struggling with this time and trying to get their work out there but don't know how? What advice would you give an artist?
well, what I wouldn't do is rely solely on social media. I know that it's big right now
It is.
because nothing's happening. People can't go out and do things. So what used to be sort of an extra thing has now become everything, right? Everyone's on it all the time, right?
Yeah.
And it's really important, absolutely. But I wouldn't put everything into social. Like, I guess I'm saying, make sure you have a website. Make sure
For
you're
sure.
updating your website.
Yep.
Make sure it's a good website. Make sure you have a business card. You know, some people say that business cards are passé, and I don't believe that.
I don't know.
And I just recently had mine redone, and I did something really, with the help of a really good designer, something really modern and contemporary, and I always have them in my back pocket. And I have a dog, and I walk around, and I know everybody's on their phone and, you know, punches in. But you know, you just give someone,
Absolutely,
and they
every
stick it on
chance
their
you
thread.
get.
Yes, and you talk about your work, and I don't know. I try to talk to people. I try to invite people over that are comfortable to come into my studio to look at my work. I think seeing it in real life is also,
Oh, no question.
you
No
know,
question. But you ship paintings all over the world, Annette.
I have shipped,
You
yes,
have.
to different countries.
Yes. So I mean, that's amazing. That's
I haven't
incredible.
done a lot of big shipping during COVID, though.
Right, but you have, but your art is placed in you know, internationally.
It is.
Not every artist can say that, Annette.
No. No, they can't. I've also dedicated my entire life to this too, though.
You have. Your work is beautiful. So thank you
Thanks, Joanne.
for spending time with me today. I wish you continued success. I love your work, Annette, and I think that it's beautiful,
Thank you.
like you. So continued success.
Joanne, always a pleasure seeing you. Always.
Likewise, my dear. Take care.